Oh boy, I know it's been a while. I was gonna check to see when the last time we were live. Maybe was it April? Did we do an April show? Yeah, I think we did. But
Yeah,
we're
girl.
back. It is May 2nd, 2016, and this is episode 142 of the Secrets Beverage Lab podcast. I hope we didn't drop off your podcast feed because I'm pretty sure we almost might have if we went more than a month. But I'm Brian from Secrets Beverage Lab. Thank you again for hanging with us. We're back when we're talking about the future of beer. Gonna get right to it. I'm drinking the Hoppy Birthday by Alpine Beer Company, thanks to none other
Yeah.
than BM Watts, and it's a pretty sweet label. It's like a hoppy cake. It's nice. And the
Oh,
beer's
cool.
yeah, it's
I
a
want
session.
hotcakes.
Yeah, hop cake. Yeah, it's a session India Pale Ale, very tasty. And I appreciate. It says session, but it's 5.25. I don't know what we're going for here.
Push the borderline.
Yeah, let's start a Twitter war right now. But no, it's pretty good. Thanks, Ben. Speaking of which, Ben, welcome to the show, my boy.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. BM Watts on Twitter. I'm actually very excited to have bought this in New Hampshire. That's Jack's Abbey House Lager. $9 a six-pack of pints. I like it.
Atta boy.
Very, very pleased to be able to not have to drive too far to
Pass
grab
on to
it.
Carla. Now I gotta pass one through the.
Well,
That would be awesome.
I,
She's like, I have the same.
yeah, no, I wish. No, actually, no, I'm enjoying the latest drop of Sebago Brewing Company's Whistle Punk. Drinking that right out of the can.
Ooh.
Super juicy, awesome IPA. I love it. And when the first time it came out in 2016 was actually the month that I gave up hoppy beer, and I was like, no. So I've got plenty of it in my fridge. There's plenty of it at Bootleggers and Topsum, so I'm going to keep myself drinking that for a little bit. And on the side, I'm eating Sriracha flavored Triscuits. They're not sponsoring me, but goddamn, they're really good.
We're doing a
So,
Triscuit beer pairing here.
beer pairing. Actually, they go fairly well together. Just saying.
Dude, I wouldn't mind if we got some of that Triscuit money, though. So,
Oh,
Tupperware sponsors.
Right? Like,
yeah, some Triscuit dollars. Coming
dude, we
through.
could do a Triscuit. There are lots of flavors of Triscuits. We could do a Triscuit and beer pairing episode.
All right, if
Telling you
anyone, all our viewers,
Make that happen.
tweet out to
What?
hashtag Triscuit, and that's pretty much it. I think it'll get to them if you just type hashtag Triscuit, and they'll know what you mean. They watch the show. But yeah, and actually speaking of Whistlepunk, I gotta get some because I'm running low on beer. Luckily so, because I emptied out my fridge before I went on vacation. I'll get to that in a second. But big shout out to oh my Ben, the Connecticut brewery, Black Hog.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Black Hog is in Maine,
Yeah.
and so the closest place that I can get them is Spruce Creek Provisions in Kittery, which is a great beer store. So I bet they have some Whistlepunk to go along with that as well. So can't wait.
yeah. You guys
Um,
got to get here if you haven't had it. It's really good.
I haven't. I think I had it at a festival. Maybe they had it like that Red Hook Fest. I just had a sip, but
This is also their biggest. Yeah, this is also their biggest drop of this so far. So
Nice.
you should be seeing it around, and I'm really hoping that they keep that in their lineup because I like it a lot.
I'll check it out mañana. But yeah.
Keep it like 5 seconds. So
Oh wait, what's the ABV on that? You said it's a double IPA. What are we looking at?
wait a minute, it's 8.2.
8.2.
So you're not gonna have 5 of these in a row while mowing your lawn.
No, and I'm sure 6 aren't $9 just because they're double IPAs.
To be honest, I don't remember what it was because I bought a bunch of other stuff too. So
Yeah. Quick, as fast forward of a catch up as we can do, but between the last podcast and this one, we I believe before we left, we tried to do a live show at Great North Ale Works in Manchester. Thanks to the weather, the internet connection was crapola. So if you happen to follow me on YouTube, you can see it and you can see how crappy it was. We're gonna try to do that again some other time. But a couple weeks ago, up until last week, I was in Europe, hopping around for my birthday, hence the Happy Birthday Brew right here. But went to Dublin, I went to the UK, and I went to Belgium, and had a fantastic time. Trying to sum it up all into a paragraph, but on my birthday, I went to a little brewery called Cantillon, which was, as you'd expect, it's really good. I was more in it because my wife is a big sour beer fan, but the history behind it can't be ignored. It was a great brewery. I was there with my dad, Rick Brews, who's in the chat right now. Big shout outs. and my mom and my wife. So it was pretty good times. But yeah, and Carly just came back from abroad too a couple weeks ago. But I think you can agree that the beer scene isn't as fast paced as it is over here, but it's much more relaxing and enjoyable, I think, at times. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I know. It's more a part of regular life. Like nobody's going and, queuing up in lines for hours for something. It's more like hey, if you need a place to talk to somebody, you go to a pub or you go to a brewery.
Yeah.
So it's just a regular, they've had it in their culture for so long, the countries that I went to anyway, that it's just a thing. It's just what you do. So there's no, there wasn't a whole lot of, special treatment. It was just like, yeah, you go to the pub.
It just is it just happens, and no matter where we went, in Brussels or Belgium, we were kind of just we were sitting amongst people who were just having their day there. It wasn't like people going there and just they're there just for a beer. They're just there to do whatever.
Now,
of all ages, we're talking like my grandmother's age, just kind of hanging out. It was pretty wild. One thing I'll definitely highlight, and then I'll talk about it later. But I went to Guinness. This was my third time there, which a lot of people can't say, and some would say Guinness tour would get old. But the last time I was there was 2011, and I believe they changed up a bunch of stuff since then. But namely, they added a Guinness connoisseur experience, which
cool! You could do that. Nice.
So yeah, we signed up in advance for that. Its advertising was an intimate session with a bartender in a kind of a private bar, and the four of us did it. And I think it might actually top Cantillon. It was that cool of an experience. It was maybe us and maybe 12 others. You kind of sit there at a nice bar. I'll post some pictures later. And for an hour, this guy's talking about the history of Guinness, pouring you beers as he does it. Tried about 4 different beers. Obviously, poured our own Guinness. It was a friggin' crazy. It was so it was like James Bond was giving you a beer school. It was so smooth. It was really cool. Totally recommend that.
Did you see, incidentally, the news? Sorry. While you were over there, Cantillon was hosting an event, like a festival, and another Belgian brewery got picked up by AB InBev, and the brewer was a close friend of the family from Cantillon, and the guy from Cantillon is like, look, you're my friend, and I appreciate you and everything, but you guys can't be part of this festival anymore. Like,
yikes.
This is like true.
Ooh, I didn't hear that part. That's juicy.
Yeah. Juicy.
Jeez, yeah, and I think the only time I ran into beer snobs the entire trip was at Cantillon, because I was next to 2 tables of definitely Americans. I don't know where they were from. One had a Captain Lawrence T-shirt on, so I don't know if that put them on the map somewhere. But they were just kind of one-upping each other about where they've been and what they've had, and I'm like, man, just enjoy your time. It kind of made me feel like I was standing in line for a Kate the Great or something, like just amongst those kind of people. But but yeah, besides that, super enjoyable trip. And yeah, I think I'm going to learn some lessons from beer out there and just kind of stop and smell the roses a little bit and not kind of go for I don't really chase the whales, but just try different beers and just enjoy what you have. And
they don't overthink it, which is nice. You know what I mean? Like every once in a while, just go and have a freaking beer. When I was in Spain, it was very much like that. The reason they drink beer there is because it's cold and it's delicious. That's where it ends. They're super happy about that, and there are craft breweries that are coming up and whatnot, but they're still all meeting that need of hey, it's hot here in the summer. People just want a beverage that they can socialize around and whatnot, and that's what it is. And sometimes we need to get off our high horse a little bit here with everything that's going on, and I just think it's an overthinking thing. Don't overthink it.
And I had a bunch of different breweries on the list to do, but at the end of the day, we ended up just going to bars because being part of the local scene and just being there. Yeah, we got the same beers that you could at the breweries, but it was like we're here where there's people, and it's we're not kind of forcing ourselves to drive around to the breweries because we've all been to breweries. And then one more final quick shout out. My dad wanted to go to a Trappist brewery, so we went to a brewery called Valdu in the Netherlands, and it was my first Trappist experience. You got the whole church over here, brewery over there, which was kind of crazy. The beers are great, and it was just very weird being amongst church and beer, which we're getting a little bit over here in the U.S. in Spencer, Mass. But it's just kind of like a weird. I mean, it's awesome. It's just you don't see very many beautiful buildings surrounding a brewery, a brewery. So, and
Right.
for however many hundreds of years they've been doing it, so it's pretty neat. Definitely do that. Other than that, I'll post pictures later on, but it was super cool. And now I'm in my 30s. I'll go ahead and say it. So yeah, there's that. The 20s are gone.
Oh, thanks.
Ugh, gross. But now I'm back in action. My fridge is empty, and I appreciate Ben for handing me some birthday beers. But that's the fast track for me. But the video is dead. Wait for it.
Ruh-roh.
We'll let it keep going, see what happens. But Ben, keep on talking. What have you been up to in the past couple weeks?
Well, I mean, you went to Europe and England and Ireland. I went to Hannaford, which is the local grocery store, and I picked up a mixed six. I decided that I was going to pull the trigger on that and kind of see.
Hey, it's fun.
Look, look. This is the best story that I have in comparison to yours. I'm so glad I'm getting to follow up on your Europe story. But so I was thinking, you go to a store, you go to a beer store, and they have the option of buying a single beer or a six-pack, right? So I don't know what the matrix is, what the math is behind it. If it's divide the cost of a six-pack by 6 and then add 20% or whatever it is. At a typical beer store, because you're not gonna. They don't take the six-pack and divide it by 6 and then charge you individually. You pay a premium for being able to get a single can or bottle. So in that same respect, I kind of went at my Hannaford journey, trying to get the most mileage out of the six-pack that I could build. Out of what they had available to me, which admittedly was like mostly ciders and root beers and things like that, but I managed to do. I'll give you my 6. It was 2 Dogfish Head 60s, a Stone IPA. Let's see. It was a Lagunitas Maximus IPA. A Guinness Extra Stout, and 5th one that I'm forgetting.
So
Check
it was
your
like
intent.
2011 throwback. Like 2011, I was drinking like 60-minute Stone, all the good
Right.
hoppy beer from the other coast, right, that we couldn't get, and then Guinness, being kind of the ever-present Guinness, because it was awesome. That just sounds so much like what I was drinking in like 2010-ish.
I'm trying to find. I'm looking at my recent check-ins to see what it was.
Oh, just do the 5th one, the 6th one.
And a Smutty Nose Wunderbar.
Oh, okay, so that's new. All right, that brings you up into 2016. That's I'm not funny. It's just funny. It was like when I lived next to Smiley's in Dover. It was
nice.
a beer store, package store, convenience store, whatever. I used to go and just pick up a 6-pack of something I'd never had, and half the time it was Magic Hat and Stone and everything from outside of the state that was interesting but was new to me. So it was kind of fun, but it just gave me a little flashback. 60-minute and Stone in the same.
Yeah.
The same.
The same
That's
pack.
cool.
Was that at you said at Hannaford's?
So Hannaford offers.
Yeah, they did it. Here.
For $9.99, you can build your own 6-pack.
Oh, so it's a flat rate no matter what. No
Yeah,
matter
they
what.
give you like an empty holder, but then
Yeah.
they only give you so many beers you can choose from.
Right.
Yeah.
But the ones that they have to choose from are actually pretty good. Like if you do it right, you can make out on the good end of that.
Yeah.
So I think I think I worked the system enough to have gained to have made out on the positive end as opposed to the negative end, since it's a flat rate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Try to get your money's worth. And
Exactly.
Right. If you filled it up with cheap beer, then it would have been not worth it.
Right. Exactly.
My Hannaford is the one by me is all right, but the problem there is the selection of 12-ounce bottles is slowly dwindling, and the selection of bombers are plentiful, but of various beers. So it's like can't mix those. But I think it's also it's not Hannaford's fault. It's the breweries that they keep are all bombers. You know, and I rarely have bombers in my fridge just because you need some.
Beer because I don't think the bomber is going to make it long.
I hope you're right. Is what I'm trying to say is because I mean it's very nice to share, and I think we had an uptick in growlers this past year because it makes sense if you're going somewhere. But the bombers are a tough sell, at least for me, because you with all the varying tastes, you need some people to split a bomber with.
Yeah, see, I used to love. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just as an aside, if you had the opportunity to go to Smiley's again, avoid it like the plague.
I know.
It was closed totally for a while and then opened under new management with the same.
It's totally new, right? It's new, but it's horrible. I've been there once since they had new management or whatnot.
Oh man, I think they were charging like $20 a bottle for KBS or like this crazy stuff.
It's terrible. It's terrible because what it used to be is this little grassroots neighborhood thing, that was run by a woman who just liked beer, and the distributors would come in and she'd be like, heck, that sounds kind of fun. Let's put it up there. And she did it because she wanted people to try good beer. Like, it wasn't about like, I'm going to make a crazy profit off all these beer geek people. It was, hey, dude, you might like this. It's kind of, this is kind of fun. Go try that. I love places like that. The fact that it went under and got, whatever. I don't even. There's a drama there, but I've gone back since, and it's not the same. So when I talk about Smiley's in Dover, people on the internet, I'm not talking about the current Smiley's in Dover. I'm talking the circa 2006 to 2008 Smiley's in Dover when I lived there. Yeah.
That was kind of the same feeling. I mean, staying in Dover, where we're at the new Barley Pub, and you're like, remember the old Barley Pub? That was super cool. And now neither.
Yeah, so I lived in Dover during the old Barley Pub and the old Smiley's era. So like, I had like the crux of beer happenings in Dover.
That was a good. Yeah, that was a good take.
They would have $2 beers at the Barley Pub, the old Barley Pub.
Yeah, was it like when it snows? What was it called? It was like their snowblower.
Originally, even before the snowblowers, it was $2 Guinnesses when it snowed, and then they got somebody to brew them a beer called the Snowblower Stout or something, and then it was when it snows, it blows.
Yeah.
That became $2. So I used to walk through the snow like in my boots over there. And get the $2 beer. Sorry, nostalgia, everyone. Y'all don't know.
Yeah, no, listen, because we're about to look to the future, and the future is nigh, and of what we're about to talk about. But the chat says it is working. Big shout out to the chat. They're diligently trying to make sure this thing stays live, and I got it over here. It looks all right. I hope it'd be cool. But shout out to Ken, the Man in White, and Rick Brews. And in the show notes, if you guys are paying attention, I put a picture of Rick Brews' glass that he got at Guinness. It's just a Guinness glass that says Rick Brews because no one has that glass, and now Rick Brews has that glass. So get in there. Rick Brews. So, Carla, I mean, I know we gave Ben some time to talk. Anything crazy in your world the past couple weeks?
Let's see. I've been doing my rounds and really just trying to get myself in line for the craziness that this summer is going to be. Orono Brewing Company came down here with Marsh Island for a little launch, a kickoff of some of their beer being distributed down here more often. Picked up the Marsh Island Pilsner, really good. And I got to hang out with the Orono Brewing Company guys, and they're always fun. So a lot of stuff happening there. We've had, since April, I think we've had about 3 new breweries open in Maine.
Wow.
Not just saying. We have I'm just going to really quickly. We had Saco River Brewing open up in Freiburg, so that's on tap kind of in local selections. They're going to open a tap room, in the next couple of weeks. Norway Brewing Company in Norway, Maine is now open, and their beer, again, is available on tap at select locations, and then they're having a grand opening for their tasting room, I believe not this weekend, but the weekend following. We've got Lone Pine Brewing Company, who has now has their tasting room open. I have not been there yet, but I have had their beer at the Great Lost Bear when they debuted. So we have, since 2016, Maine has had 6 breweries open so far.
Jesus.
We have another 6 that are supposed to open before the summer. And then I haven't even kept track of anybody who says they're opening after July.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 12 breweries, new breweries, for 2016 before summer. It's going to be nuts.
God damn it.
It's a little insane.
Yeah.
Mason's Brewing Company is like this far away. They're up in Brewer, and they're opening big. So they're going to be a major disruptive, like not in a negative disruptive, but like they're gonna mess up the beer scene here a bit. They're gonna come in big.
What's the schedule on Dirigo?
Dirigo keeps having unfortunate construction delays, but they are seriously hoping by the end of May to be open. I keep going down there and checking out where they're at. They keep being further and further every time, but like random stuff comes up. Like literally, people that were working with them, have health issues and all kinds of things. So it's just they're getting there. They do have a really cool space though, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it develops. They have a huge tasting room. It's going to be like 2,000 square feet. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so it's going to be one of those places that you go kind of park yourself, look over the river, and just have a couple. You know what I mean? So I'm super excited about that. End of May by the latest. They really wanted to open in April, but they're getting there. They're so close. They've got all their stuff plugged in. They've got it all piped and whatnot. They're just kind of sewing everything up. All those last details. It happens.
I'm getting pumped too. I mean, even if we'll talk about new breweries, but or I guess expanding breweries. If you follow Great Rhythm, we've had them on the show a couple times. They've been going really hard on their expansion or on their new building in Portsmouth. It looks beautiful, and I'm not sure when it's opening, but by looks their Instagram, even this weekend, they're getting fermenters in, and everything's pretty much getting laid out. So right now they're currently brewing at the Smut Labs facility, where Old Smarty Nose used to brew. But they're moving to their big. It's over on Islington Street. It's going to be a huge facility. So you're going to be seeing a ton more Great Rhythm soon, and I got to get him on the show to talk about it. But and we had Chris Loring on a couple months ago to talk about his new space. Delayed a little bit, but it looks like summer is the time. But by looks of it, I hope I'm not misspeaking. But by some of the tweets I've been stalking, it looks that way. And kind of to tie Portsmouth and Notch together, a couple days ago they released a collaboration beer between Henniker, Notch, and Portsmouth Brewery, which I didn't get a chance to go down to taste it, but I'm pretty sure it's still on there. But reviews are good so far. But that's definitely an interesting combination of 3 brewers. So I wonder how that conversation got started. But yeah, you had both. I forget their names, so I'm not going to say them. We have Matt Gallagher, Chris Loring, and he's going to hate me when I forget his name. The Henniker brewer.
Oh, Chris Shea.
Chris Shea. Yeah. God, I was thinking Dave Shea. Oh, God. All right, yeah. So,
and I might be pronouncing his last name wrong. That's my interpretation of how that's spelled. So I'm sorry, Chris, if I got that wrong, but it's Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard that was good, but we wanted to have a little chat, kind of like not hit the reset button on the news because there isn't really much news, but in the past few weeks there's been a lot of news by ways of breweries expanding and some sort of glimpse into the future of bigger breweries and the effect that craft beer is having on them. So I think we will start with that one first because it was the one that I wanted to talk about, but we didn't have a podcast when it came out. But the link is from the Wall Street Journal, but it's been pretty much on every news outlet you can imagine, and it's in the show notes. It's about Boston Beer, and I don't have any more clicks because I can't read the whole full story. Oh, here it is. It's about Boston Beer Company's stock earnings. This was reported a couple weeks ago, but the link I gave has been updated a couple days ago. and their stock slipped about
12%.
Was that
12%, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, shares of Boston down 34% the past year, slipped 13% this year after the trading and when they reported their earnings. And a quote from Jim himself says, "We believe Sam Adams has lost share due to the increased competition and continued growth of drinker interest in variety and innovation." So kind of a glimpse into the future of the effects that the little guys might have on the bigger craft brewers. But I don't know if you guys had seen that, have any kind of comments on those kind of slipping numbers, because it's a big number, and somewhere they had listed the actual what that meant in dollars, and it was like millions. So they had a profit of $7 million, which was down from $13.7 million. So it was about $6 million bucks.
Say that quote again.
Sure. It says, "We believe Samuel Adams has lost share due to the increased competition and continued growth of drinker interest in variety and innovation." So is he putting it on the drinker?
Well, yeah, yeah, I guess so. I mean, and that kind of leads to just the volume of choice that the consumer has. At first, when he said that, I thought that was getting into the variety of things other than beer. You know, this whole the root beer, the cider, and the ginger ale, and the what have yous. But yeah, I mean, just like Carla said, there's 6 breweries opening up in May, and it's just like that's just your choices are just expanding exponentially. It's insane, and no one's going to spend all their money in one place.
Right.
It's
No.
it's the same thing with me saying that I'm buying a mixed 6-pack from Hannaford. I don't want to buy like a 6-pack of one.
6 packs of all of those people, right? You're buying a couple of their beers to, kind of mix it up a little. Like, I think the quote that you read there, though, Brian, I think the word innovation might be the key word there, because you know that Sam Adams has this huge portfolio of beer, right?
Yep.
And what I love about their portfolio of beer is that it is almost without exception the archetype of that style, right? Like if you want a whatever style it is, they probably have that style and it's made to style, and that's what it is. They don't really step outside of that bound. So I don't want them to go away, because I love it for going, oh, you want to know what a lager tastes like? Go try this. You want to know what a porter tastes like? Go try that. But the thing is that it's a standard. It's almost like a palette of like, okay, yeah, here's what real beer, here's what normal beer is. But it's that innovation and that creativity that I think they have a little bit of an issue with. I think that they have a problem where they have such a huge, I want to say readership, but it's not drinkership. I don't know, whatever. They have a huge audience, and they have to kind of, for lack of a better term, dumb it down or simplify to reach the most people.
Yeah.
That's what the situation they're in now. If they came out with something really crazy, not a lot of people would be into it. However, their long history of not doing that has made them seem to all of these people like us that just want the newest thing to be stale. Yeah. It's not bad beer. None of it's bad beer. It's just so conforming. You know what I don't know. I don't know if that's just my...
Sorry, yeah, it's all like a catch-22.
Yeah, it is.
They try to...
And that's where they put themselves.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
I think another thing that Sam does that maybe it must work from a business perspective, but I can't think of another company that has more single individual styles out there on the shelves at any given moment than Boston Beer Company. You go and
see that picture where it's like a banner this wide of like all of the different colors of their beer, right?
Yeah,
like
at any given time, there's probably a dozen. In any season, there's probably a dozen different Boston beers to choose from, and that just seems like you're trying to appeal to too many people instead of putting your focus onto one thing.
Yeah, and it's only that complexity is only compounded when they only release their beers in variety packs. So you're making all these separate beers, but you're not releasing them all at once. You're releasing one beer in this variety pack among 7 other beers or whatever. Coming on my doorstep tomorrow, stay tuned, will be something from Sam Adams. I believe it's maybe a glimpse into their summer. But I just got a couple months ago, I just got their sampling of their lager pack, I was showing them the last episode with all the nice labels and stuff. So it's kind of a mixture of trying to be caught up or ahead of the curve, but
Yeah.
We might see a campaign where we're going back to our roots, where it's like, here's what you guys probably are looking for. Trying to hit the reset button. I don't know.
Ken in the chat just brought up a good point that Megan has kind of like led this the Rebel platform, which is like multifaceted, but all based on the same thing. It's got a centralized idea, like this IPA, but then it kind of splits off into all these different. You've got the Rebel Raw, you've got the Rebel Session, you've got the Grapefruit, whatever. It's centrally focused, but it's dynamic at the same time, as opposed to your like Port Rocker over here and your Spring Thaw over here, and the rest of it doesn't seem like it has any sort of focus whatsoever. It's just like all these like.
Yeah, it's like a huge portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too big.
Too big, and I think with all these, with a couple of breweries that we're going to be talking about after this, but there are breweries that have these mega followings that I don't think will ever they'll ever die down. Which I don't know if they're uneducated drinkers, but kind of what Jim was talking about is. There's drinkers that will only have this and will search out the whales and go right for the Heady Toppers or the Julius's of the world, and they're never going to touch Sam Adams again. A lot of that, like I don't know if you would call it loyalty to a brewery. That's starting to get a little bit stronger than it used to be, where you can kind of just go, have a beer from whatever brewery you want. There's a lot of people that are just like, here's the Bissell's that I got, here's the Julius's that I got. I don't want any more beer, and I think those craft beer drinkers are probably hurting this case more so than the ones that will kind of just have anything and enjoy a Boston lager during a Red Sox game, and that's pretty much it. But I don't know. But yeah, and that'll come into another conversation when the numbers or like when the top craft breweries are listed, because every year Sam Adams is at the top of they're the biggest craft brewer, and the rules had been changing to accompany them. If you remember, every time that those numbers are released, so yeah. See what happens here. But some serious money lost, but who knows if it's due to going in 1,000 different directions or actually that people are kind of being loyal to other craft breweries. But the chat is all about this conversation too, which I'm a big fan. Looks like Ken said Boston Beer was up $3 a share today, and then overnight we're up $5 a share. So stocks, am I right? There's a whole other podcast for that.
I know most of you listening are here for the stocks.
Yeah, right. But
hot tip.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Buy now. Here's a good time to buy. But yeah, I'm definitely shocked. I mean, I'm a huge Sam Adams fan, of course. But yeah, there came a time. I think it was maybe almost 2 years ago where they started to come out with some of the bigger bombers of just new beer, and even to us who are around beer all the time was kind of like interesting. Something's happening here. So it seemed like they were with the curve, not ahead of it, but they were kind of with it. But just wasn't what people wanted. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we have that problem now too. Also with places like that are bigger breweries, that when there is a trend, there's a lag between them deciding to go for that trend and when that trend is actually happening. So I always see, like, by the time something gets to some of these bigger breweries, I'm always like, oh, we're over this now. Like, I don't know if I don't have a great example, but thinking about like the Grapefruit, Rebel series is the first time that they've actually been among the people who are doing that.
That's
instead
a great
of like a year behind. You know what I mean? Instead of a year behind, where they're like, oh yeah, we do a Grapefruit too.
I feel like Gozas are kind of like the new. Yeah. Like everybody's jumping on the Goza bandwagon.
Sierra Nevada has a freaking Goza.
Yeah.
They do, and it's not bad. But what? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they were way behind the eight ball with the, I mean, but again, a lot of breweries were trying to match, not match Heady Topper, but just be part of the IPA craze in whatever way possible. So they were among a lot of breweries that tried, didn't work out. But when you
Right.
have, I think it was a limited run of Raw of Rebel Raw, but regardless, when you have a lot of marketing dollars behind that and it kind of tanks, it's a bigger hit to you than it is to a smaller brewery. So.
Right.
But yeah, so talking about that aside, I'm sure we'll hear more about that. There's definitely some looking into the future and how maybe these breweries expanding might affect some more. There are two huge expansions that are going to be happening in the next year that might kind of shake things up in the beer world because it was announced in February, but Treehouse is expanding. And I believe we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that we keep an eye on this because starting this year, Treehouse broke ground in Charlton, Mass, which is a little bit east of Munson where they're at right now. But it is going to be a crazy brewery that you might dream of. But there's a picture of the early renderings of it. It looks like a bombshell of a place, like a Sierra Nevada type, Oscar Blues-ish type, that big kind of place. Maybe even bigger than Smutty Nose by the looks of it, but I haven't really looked at the numbers. I would look into them. It says full operations are going to continue in Munson into 2017 until they're operational, and then they're going to use their existing brew house for kind of specialty pilot things. So I don't know what you guys think about a Treehouse expansion, but I think it's time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Treehouse is the
So
one in Massachusetts, right? I've heard of them.
You've heard it? Yeah, I heard those gypsy brewers.
in search of Treehouse forever. Yeah.
ISO, you know.
Yeah. Those
Oh.
tree people.
Yeah, that. So, but it is true. I mean, you see the lines out the door, and I've done the math in my head of every day they sell beer and they're making a lot of money, but they're also probably exhausted as hell. So they need more space. They need to brew more beer and just to kind of keep their own selves sane. But it looks pretty good. Ground is broken, so look out, Western Mass, or I guess we're moving more into Central Mass territory at this point, going to Charlton. But shout out to the 413 area. And then recently, I just saw, as of a couple days ago, as of April 27th, Lawson's, the little fledgling brewery up in Vermont that everyone's trying to get at. Well, they're actually starting to plan their big 30-barrel brewery, and it's going to Waitsfield, Vermont, which I don't know. Ben, where's that? Waitsfield.
I mean, if you were in Montpelier and instead of continuing north, headed like due west,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Vermont's Vermont.
Yeah, it's true. It's in Vermont. Yeah. So yeah, right now they're basically brewing all their stuff out of a 7-barrel brewery, which you can tell by everyone's freaking out over trying to find some, and they'll travel all over Vermont to try to find some bottles. They contract their Sip of Sunshine and Super Session beers out of Two Roads in Connecticut, which gives them a little bit more reach, which is good, and obviously more cans to be brewed. But it's time for them for sure, and they've been around a while as well. So it's good to see them finally getting up to doing that. But again, when you are a very small operation, going big like that probably takes a lot of time. So that's probably why they hadn't been planning it for so long, because they're too busy brewing beer. So maybe they're trying, getting some business savvy will help. Lawson's fans, good.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
I've seen in Maine recently, Von Trapp Brewing, also in Vermont, is now packaging and huge scale. I don't know when they moved.
I heard that brew is awesome.
it is.
Oh yeah, I heard it's kind of epic. But I have recently just seen their Von Trapp products, in the main scene. So up at Bootleggers in Topsom, they have a couple of different varieties. I had their Helles Lager, and it was pretty dang good.
Did they know they're doing German beer proper?
Yes.
Which is kind of considering, the whole Von Trapp.
It's the people. It's the Von Trapp people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not.
You have to sing when you go there. Just press the doorbell. Hills. Who was I talking to? I was talking to the folks at the upcoming Bad Lab beer in Somersworth, and they mentioned they took a trip up to Von Trapp and said that the brewery is like out of the. There's money is no question there.
No.
No expense.
Because that place has been a destination for
forever.
Half a century.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, and don't they have a Pilsner pack, Ben? Like a mixer, or was it just a German beer mixer?
Yeah, they have a mixed 12. It's the I'm gonna forget.
Oh, I haven't had that
No, it's
yet.
fine.
So
Yeah, that's legit.
Pilsner and I want to say the Dunkel, something else darker.
The Dunkel, the Bach, the Hellslager, and the Vienna Lager.
Solid. Good stuff. Some chat conversation about the Treehouse expansion. That even though they're getting as big as they are, it's not going to help the line. I probably agree with you. It might it might die down by half an hour.
That's how I feel about Bissell's expansion. I feel like
it just brings more people
the
there.
line will just proportionally increase. Like I don't know.
Not even that, but the line will be the same, but it'll just be the same line in that it's going to be just as long. You have the same amount of people giving you the beer in the new place as you do now, and I see those lines on Instagram every weekend. But now it's Austin Street, it's Foundation, it's Bissell, so maybe it'll be less chaotic for the others as well.
Right, yeah. The Trailblazers, right.
But you mentioned speaking of that area, you mentioned that Austin Street. I saw them post pictures of they were canning a beer. Do you have any info on what's up with that?
Yeah, so let me pull that up really quickly. So I saw actually pictures, I think it was from the people who designed the cans. And they said, oh, hey, check this out. This is going to happen. And so then today, literally 4 hours ago, Austin Street Brewery posted a thing on Facebook and it said, Patina Pale cans will go on sale Saturday at noon. And I'm like, yeah! Like, I love that Patina Pale Ale. Like, I love it so much. Now, that's sad. Sentence number 2. Limit will be 2 4-packs per person with 100 cases available. I was like,
yikes.
Okay, now
50 people.
But sentence number 3 made me like seriously upset. We have no plans for any more canning in 2016.
Why would you tweet like that? That's such a bombshell.
And our tasting room will be the only place to purchase these. Looking forward to seeing you all on Saturday.
Industrial ways got burned to the ground.
Here's the thing, is I thought with their new capacity, they've got this new system, whatever, I thought this was going to be like the first of distribution of Patina, like, statewide. Yeah. And I got really excited until I read this 4 hours ago, and I love you guys, but you really need to reconsider that whole, we have no plans for any more canning in 2016 thing. Because, no. I am sad. Don't.
Yeah,
because Patina is amazing beer, and I want that in my fridge on a regular basis.
100 cases is 6 4-packs, right? 6 4-packs is a case.
Well, it's a case, yeah. A case is 6 4-packs?
Yeah, because 24.
600 4-packs, so 2 per...
300 people?
2 4-packs per person, 300 people.
So that's basically 200 people that bring their grandmas to also buy their beer.
They're all my relatives.
Oh, God, yeah, she's here. Yeah, I got her over at the Hannaford's next door. She's fine. He or she is fine. Yeah. But no, that's gonna be rough. Are you gonna go? Still gonna go?
I might. It depends on what else is going on Saturday. But honestly, I just really, really like that beer, and it'd be lovely to take it home. But I'm almost turned off by the fact that I wouldn't be able to do it again. I don't want this to be a rare thing. I just want this to be a beer that's in the choices that I have on a regular basis. So I still pop over there anytime I'm in Industrial Way. I go behind to Austin Street first because there's always a line at the other two, and I usually go there and I get a taster of Patina anyway. That's just what I do.
And
it's
bittersweet.
Not a super beer for them, but it is for me, a package of a 4-pack is way better than doing a growler of it. Just, we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not my deal doing the growler thing. So.
And it's bittersweet for them, I'm sure, because they know that you're not the only one that's upset.
Oh,
but
I'm sure.
I kind of feel the same way about any dinner release. Is I know there's going to be a billion people in line. I want nothing to do with it, and I know there's probably literally thousands of people just like me that feel the same way. But Maine Beer Company's like, we're going to sell these beers anyway. We apologize that they sell as well as they do. So I kind of feel weird being mad about it, but also like,
I know.
What the heck?
It's like you're a parent and you're like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's that level where you're just like, oh, I want this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is that Patina for them is really their flagship. It's not a rare beer.
Right.
So
but it's just having it.
A rare release.
Yeah.
Is a different one than what I was expecting. Now, hey, maybe it'll go so well that they'll think about that and they'll do it differently, or I don't know what the background of this release was. I really don't know if this is a pilot and they're figuring it out. I don't know. I haven't talked to you about this.
And I don't know if it's because of resources, but the picture on Instagram said Bissell rolled over their canning machine, so maybe that's reason A is they don't have the equipment to do that, and because
they definitely don't have the equipment for it. Yeah.
So maybe the response will make them want to just get like is Ironheart in Maine? Or is it different? So maybe like, oh well, this is a good idea. I mean, it will be a good idea, but maybe if they can figure out a way to get that going, but
yeah.
But
the other thing is that also there's also a small part of me that just doesn't want people to know how awesome Street is, and just to keep it to myself. So too late.
But Carla, the chat.
If everyone from Massachusetts comes up and steals the spear, I'm going to be really upset though.
Keep your eyes off of Beer Advocate. That's all I'm going to say. Ben, thoughts? You going to be in line? I know you're going to be there.
Yeah, I got so much time to be in line, and I also just love doing it. I'm a big advocate
of beer.
Oh,
classic. But I mean, the chat says it just the same as get a grandma mule. So you got to find someone that just wants to go. Maybe TaskRabbit. They do that now.
These are my 4 grandmas. It's a long story.
Yeah, it's a sister to the traveling grandmas. They're here to buy your patina. Let me have a sip of your ale.
I'll have the poblano. No, that's not it.
No, you're ruining it, Grandma. The hell. But yeah, good for them because that is a good beer, and they have good beer. But do you know if they have plans? Because Foundation is taking over Old Bissell, right?
Yeah. So Foundation space. So when Bissell moves out, Foundation is going to pop over into expand in that space. Yeah. So for those who don't know, they're basically back to back. They're wall to wall. So they're just going to take over that existing space instead of a new brewery coming into that area.
So then wait a couple years,
right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
They'll have like an L shape, right? Like Foundation and then Bissell, and then Bissell have those spots behind them.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to knock down walls or if they're just going to take that over for storage. I really don't know what the configuration's going to end up being. But it's going to be like that because Bissell goes back. They've got lots of vertical direction.
Further back than Foundation goes.
Yeah, it does. They took over a wall for there. So it's a big spot. And honestly, just seeing some of the pictures of what Bissell is going to be looking like at Thompson's Point is going to be really cool, too.
Oh, yeah.
And then Bunker is going to be around the corner from them.
Oh, right, yeah. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, so they don't post a lot of updates, so it's one of those things that, like, I still have in my brain, but people aren't, like, seeing photos of, like, the dirt there or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'd much rather have, like, occasional updates than, like, here's sand, and then tomorrow we move the sand over here. Or, I want, like, significant updates.
Yeah.
Or like, and if, like I said, if you look at Great Rhythms posts, they post every day, but it's, like, significant. Like, they're working their butts off to open up with their... and quick Portsmouth news too. The news that I don't know if it's the first craft beer cellar, but ever closed. But the Portsmouth craft beer cellar is closed.
Oh, I thought they were selling it. Nobody bought it?
No, I don't think so because I'd read because I've gotten a couple tweets asking where to go, and my answer is instantly the beer store called Prost, which it's in Hampton, awesome store, Northampton. But yeah, I don't know if it's I don't know if it exchanged hands, but I do know
I
that
saw some posting somewhere, and I don't know if it was Craigslist or a business, listing somewhere. They were like, "Hey, here's a franchise opportunity in Portsmouth," and it was that. It was basically they were trying to sell it, but I hadn't heard what happened since. So
yeah, so I'll get some more news on that. But I was kind of like, all right, I don't know if and if it did close, is that the first one to kick the bucket? But sad days. I also have Norm news that there used to be this guy on the podcast called Norm. He knocked his Christmas tree down a couple times. But yeah, the real beer nut himself posted the note. Posted the
Christmas trees.
Say what now?
I said you might remember Norm from the Animals and the Christmas Tree.
Yeah, from Animal Christmas Tree fame. Yeah, he posted a little hit of news that Spencer will be Spencer Trappist Brewery, the only U.S. Trappist brewery, which is in Spencer, Massachusetts, is collaborating with Wormtown Brewery out of Worcester, Mass. So stay tuned for more of that. And I believe, like Ben said, they're all going to be monks at this point, right? They have to be. You have to be somewhat initiated in that Is it Trappistry? Never mind. That's
that's how you join the ranks by making a Trappistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you fail at it, then it's a travesty.
It's a Trappistry.
Oh boy, yeah, that's the name of the show.
Oh boy.
No, definitely not, because I don't want, because I still would like to have Spencer on the show, and
I'm the only one with kids. I'm the only one that can make dad jokes.
Sorry, yeah, I stole it. But speaking of Spencer, they released an IPA and an Imperial Stout recently in New Hampshire. So I don't know if anyone's had a chance to try that elsewhere, but
I haven't heard those.
yeah, and I hadn't heard of a Trappist brewery making an IPA, so I thought that was kind of like a weird play on something. I was barking at Sean, who's actually, we hadn't even mentioned about Sean, so we may as well talk about Sean real quick.
So easy to forget.
Yeah, I know. Sean is actually at the Craft Brewers Conference, so hopefully maybe next week we'll get some information from him on what happened there. But I was giving Sean crap. I'm like, a Trappist brewery making an IPA and an Imperial Stout? What's the world come to? And he was the one that was at the event, but sounded like they were pretty good. Yeah, I got nothing else on the show notes except for Carly. You want to talk about your quick stat hits here? Or?
Oh yeah. If we were really going to go into the future of the craft brewery, I caught myself thinking, because there are 2 breweries in planning in Maine now that I know of that are going to open as brew pubs, and it just made me think, how are they doing compared to like the breweries that are opening? Because there haven't been a lot of new brew pubs in Maine. They've all been doing brewery plus tasting room. And these are the first 2 that are going to, have a full restaurant and whatnot, in recent memory. So I was kind of curious where we stood in comparison to the rest of the country. And frankly, so I stuck a thing, and you can put it in the show notes, but the Brewers Association put together some stats about brew pubs opening and closings, and then basically microbrewery opening, closings. And honestly, they're following almost the exact same trend. There's been like a very steady number of closings each year. About 30-ish brew pubs close each year. But then the trend of openings, goes from, in 2011 there were 88 brew pubs open, 2012 110 new ones, 2013 there were 146, and then 2014 there's like 250, which is ridiculous. But that closing level is staying the same. So whatever's happening here, it's still a decent environment to open a brew pub, just as it is still a decent environment to open a brewery. So that link's kind of fun for the data geeks among us. I was actually surprised the trends weren't more different, from each other. Because I guess in Maine, I just see them as completely different things. Only because we have like, our brew pubs are like institutions, okay? We have like Gritty's and the Liberal Cup, and like, these places have been around for a really long time, and they have a certain look and feel about them. Whereas we really have a lot. I mean, we have chain ones that are bigger. We have well, not chain, but multiple locations. So we've got multiple locations of Gritty's, multiple locations of Sebago, multiple locations of Sea Dog. But nothing like new really on the scene in a while in the brewpub world. So it just felt different to me that, oh, wow, there's a couple of brewpubs happening now? What is that about? But apparently the rest of the country's been charging on without us there. So,
I mean, Maine's in a world of its own, as you know. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
But sometimes we're like right on track, and sometimes we're
True.
a little off. What's going on. So but to me, I just blame that a little bit on that fact that we had that change to the tasting room law, so it became easier to open a tasting room than just a straight up production brewery. They basically lessened the barrier to opening a tasting room as well. So there's not as much capital investment in opening a tasting room as there is opening a restaurant with a chef and all of that, all of the overhead that comes with opening restaurants. So.
Yep.
So I think a lot of brewers in Maine have taken advantage of that, only because that law, really, a couple of years ago just kind of changed the game here. But, I'd love to hear from other people about, what's going on in their states too. So if anybody in the chat or if anybody, listening after the fact, wants to tell me about their brew pub scene, apparently there's a brew pubbing happening.
Yeah, I mean, our brew pubs here are 1995, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, like, they all came in this one little wave and then just kind of hung out.
Yeah, we could use some but just so we can get bigger size beers. Neighborhood Beer Company just added sandwiches so they can pour pints. So it's a weird, but that's just different laws, obviously per state.
Right.
Where our state's still trying to struggle to get the bigger pours, which I don't even know why that's still part of why we're still trying to get there.
What's the max size you have? Where are you standing now?
4 ounces. I mean, if you don't have any food, it's 4 ounce samples.
Okay.
So yeah. For example, I would say probably the biggest example would be like Stoneface. Is you go to Stoneface to get the beer, but it'd be nice to sit there and have a couple, and I'm sure they'd love to sell it to you, but there's no way they can. Which is why you put a hot food item or something, kind of like what Neighborhood did, and you're good to go. And that's kind of the would you call Earth Eagle a brew pub? I mean, I know it's not I don't think it's a license.
They have legit food, so they have to have.
Yeah,
right?
It's almost like
they're not serving popcorn. They're
serving pub too,
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's maybe not a brew pub license. I'm not sure. I could be misspeaking. It might actually be. I don't think it is though. But it is like it's a restaurant basically at itself right now. It's good food. It's not like it's not like the old Barley Pub. Here's grilled cheese. It's here's some
in a closet. We got a panini press in a glorified closet.
Fantastic. That's what we need.
I remember that.
Yeah, and we had some Ken saying mainly. Whoop, that's almost time to shut her down right there. Beer Works are kind of the brew pubs in the east.
Yeah.
But yeah, shouts to Gritty's, and the Sea Dog up here and closest to me in Elliott is it's a brew pub, that's for sure. That's my TripAdvisor review of it.
In Elliott, that's a shipyard. That's not a Sea Dog.
Yeah. Is it easy though? Is it? Am I wrong in thinking they're almost the same? Never mind.
No, yeah, they're related. They're siblings. And honestly, the Sea Dog by me in Topsom is not. It needs some help. They have service issues, and it just makes me sad because it's like literally I could walk there, and if the food was better and the service was better, I would kind of hang out there. I mean, they have a beautiful overlook. They overlook the river. You can sit outside. It's gorgeous, but it's not fun to go there. And they didn't work on that.
The man in white in the chat is totally right. Jack's Abbey is a brew pub, and Jack's Abbey's new place is unbelievable. We gotta go.
Nice.
We gotta go right now. It's awesome.
I know. I want to go.
I went a couple weeks ago.
And this is going to make me sound like an idiot who doesn't know anything about Mass geography, but I really don't. How far is where Jack's Abbey is from Burlington, Mass?
Whoa, I don't know. Google.
No. Where are they?
That's a good. I mean, because it's you're going. I think it might. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I'm from Mass, and I still don't know.
The only reason I asked is they just put a Wegmans in Burlington, Mass, and I really want to go to Wegmans.
The one in Burlington is great.
Yeah. But,
I will Google it for you. Too sweet. But I will mention that, Jack's Abbey is the real deal, and don't be afraid to go in at 11 for lunch and beer, because I kind of waited outside at opening because I'm like, I don't want to be the first one there because I don't want to be too psyched to go in there and get beer. I walked in at 11:15 and the place had like 30 people already drinking and eating food in the morning. I'm like, oh boy, my people. But yeah, that might actually. Oh, wait, we get another chat thing.
Yeah.
Say what?
It says it's about half an hour away. A good day on a good
That's
day.
not that bad. I think that might do it. Yeah, and the Wegmans is great. We went just for Wegmans one time, and we tied it into a Lord Hobo trip just because we wanted to make it seem like we were doing something else besides going to a grocery store in a different state. Yeah. But Wegmans is not just a grocery store.
Craft beer selection, I've heard. So
yeah.
Can you in Mass? Wait, do you have to be a package store in Mass? Do they have beer there?
Okay, that was you asked the same question 3 times. I don't know. Great question. I don't think so. I don't think you can.
All the Wegmans I've ever been to had a really good craft beer section, but I forgot it's Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's right. Good call. Yeah, because I mean that's why there's Julio's.
Yeah.
Well, heck, if you're gonna be, I mean, if you're going to get a beer store anywhere near Burlington or in Eastern Mass, it's Redstone all the way for sure. Or any of the fine selection of craft beer sellers, but I just am partial to Redstone because they're the closest ones to me. Although I hear the Amesbury one in Amesbury craft beer cellar is pretty nice, but I go to Maine for my beers. So sorry, but not anymore. Now that Jack's Abbey's here, it's my fridge. It's gonna be full of Jack's Abbeys. Nice. That's good. Do it, Carl. Anything you want to give a shout out before we shut this down for the next week?
Not a whole ton coming up that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure I will kick myself when I'm off this afterwards of something happening next week, but
just keep an eye on the blog.
Everybody right now, I swear, before Memorial Day, we're all just like holding our breath, and then this summer is just going to be crazy.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of fests coming up that we'll probably have a separate fest scheduling show.
There's a lot of Cinco de Mayo events this weekend, so there's Cinco de Micro at the Great Lost Bear. There's Flask Lounge is a Cinco de Micro thing on Thursday. The Boston area beer enthusiasts, the Babes, the group, they're coming up to Portland actually this Friday, so I'm going to be hanging out with them.
Oh, Babes in Portland?
Yeah, Babes in Portland.
Done. We're going. No, okay. It is Babes, but anyway. Carla, chat does say the Wegmans has liquor and beer.
Yay! Okay, cool.
So get in there.
Nice.
But
I'm from the land of original Wegmans. That's why I need to go.
And Ken agrees. That said, just go to Redstone in Stoneham if you want beer. Cool. It's also a great store. But Ben, next week or so, what's crapping?
Oh man, you guys are gonna want to pay attention to my Twitter. It's @BMWatts. There's gonna be some really exciting stuff going on there. I don't want to say too much, but you're shaking your head like a motherfucker.
Because it's like not true. What do we got going on?
It's not true. I'm just trying to gain followers. That's all.
Hey, if you want some hot T-ball photos and some sweet beer check-ins,
T-ball photos and some WWE updates.
Yes,
it's the place to be.
Yeah.
I promise I will tweet at least once a month.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm also excited to. Wegmans is my favorite place to see pictures of Weimaraners in different weird poses.
Yep.
If you get that reference, cheers to you.
Yep.
On that note.
Oh shoot! You broke up. I gotta shut this thing down. Oh, he's gone. He left the show. He's out of here. I got nothing. In the next week, I'm definitely going to see Captain America on Saturday. That's not beer related, but I'm going to see it with old host of the show, Mike Meredith. So I will send him all your love. He never watches the show, but once he left it, he's like, "We'll see ya." No, but we'll go to see the movie, and then I'm hoping to refill my fridge. Like I said, I need to go to Spruce Creek to pick up some goodies. Definitely check out the Whistle Punk, and then the Black Hog that's in the state of Maine. That's gonna do it, I think. So we're gonna do it for this show. I'll see you next. Oh, Carly, got everything? Good.
I'm good.
Ben, cheers, and we'll see you episode 143 next week. If the Secret Service
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, chat. Bye.